your laboratory evaluation of hemostasis. So basically, we will talk about laboratory procedures and techniques for your identification of hemostatic disorders or even the status of your hemostasis. So laboratory testing for hemostasis usually included are the techniques for specimen collection, management, platelet function test, routine clot-based analysis, factor analysis, and even assays to identify defects in coagulation, control, and fibrinolysis. So again, we go back to the basic as to the patient management. Okay, for patient management, what do we need to know is the responsibility of a healthcare professional, patient history and risk assessment, drug and supplement history, a physical examination, pre-collection patient instruction, and blood collection protocol. So as in the hemostasis is a very different collection method as to your hematology section. Okay? So first, okay, responsibility of the healthcare professional. First, you need to prepare the patient for hemostasis testing with a detailed risk assessment. Okay? Andyan, risk assessment. Bakit? You need to know if ever that the patient has a possibility of bleeding, okay, or thrombosis if you do this procedure. Okay? You evaluate the bleeding risk and thrombotic risk as to the patient information. So you need to ask, meron ba silang bleeding history, okay, o kaya clotting history kasi baka mamaya pag tusok nyo or pag insert nyo ng needle, possible na bigla nilang mag-gush out yung blood or after inserting the needle, it would form or throw an embolus on your patient. So you need to ask the patient history and the risk assessment. Ask the family history yan, no, of clotting and bleeding disorder. Check the blood group. Okay, ask if the patient knows his blood group or her blood group. Or your blood group O has a higher prevalence of von Willebrand disorder or disease. Okay, so consider medical conditions such as your pregnancy, wherein your pregnancy is a physiological thrombotic disorder. Okay? Bakit physiological? Kasi normal na naman nabubuntis ka. But no, usually, normal din na nagtuthrow ng clot yung pregnant women. Okay? Liver and kidney disease, okay, are also relevant because of your, okay, for the liver, of course, the release of your coagulation factors, and the kidney also regulates your release of the toxins. Okay, that will affect the coagulation system. And leukemia, anemia, and even malnutrition can contribute to bleeding disorders. Okay, review bleeding characteristic as to possible location, frequencies, volume, and trigger. Okay? Ano yung mga trigger nila? Spontaneous ba? Basta-basta na lang ba sila nagbi-bleed? O kaya naman pag nasugatan, bigla na lang lumalaki o mas malala yung bleeding kaysa sa normal na tao. Okay, you need to assess those. Also, you need to ask drug and supplementation history of supplement history. Review the anticoagulant. So this is very, very common in coagulation test. You ask the patient if there is any drugs that they are consuming in relation to anticoagulants or procoagulants. Okay? So specifically, antiplatelet drugs such as your aspirin and your non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So again, your aspirin and NSAID usually targets your cyclooxygenase. And we already talked about your cyclooxygenase as an important part of your activation of your thromboxane, and which is your thromboxane is essential in the release of your platelets. Okay, the contraceptives and hormone replacement therapy that are usually prothrombotic. Okay, include over-the-counter remedies such as your dietary supplements, specifically your garlic, okay, vitamin K, ginger, and St. John's wort, wherein these are usually, okay, procoagulant and anticoagulant, okay, over-the-counter supplements. Okay, stop non-prescription drugs at least 1 week before testing. So for example, they are just taking NSAID such as your common is ibuprofen for back pain. Okay, lagi silang may back pain, minum silang ibuprofen. If ever na hindi naman yung prescribe talaga, you need to advise the patient to stop it for 1 week before you proceed with your hemostatic test unless the physician requested you to do so na kahit hindi na 1 week. Pwede yun. Okay, bahala na sila mag-interpret ng abnormal result. Continue prescribe anticoagulants such as your Coumadin, okay, and your direct oral anticoagulants or DOACs. Okay, and antiplatelet drug if monitoring efficacy is considered. Of course, if they are taking drugs for hemostatic problems, you need and they are being evaluated, you need them to continue those drugs. No? Hindi niyo sila papatigilin. Okay? Especially ang Coumadin, heparin, warfarin, no? Kaya tatanungin niyo may iniinom ba before niyo i-test kasi possible mamaya bigla kayong magulat na ang taas ng resulta ng APTT at PT kasi nga may iniinom palang gamot. So, please ask the patients. Okay, next is physical examination. Checks for signs of bleeding such as your bruises or swelling. Okay? Check nyo kung may pasa-pasa. Okay? Baka naman mamaya pagtusok nyo bigla agad nagpasa. No? Use a standardized bleeding assessment tool for detailed evaluation. Pero usually this is done by your nurses. Okay? The nursing staff na bahala dyan. Next, pre-collection instruction. So avoid caffeine, exercise for about 2 hours, and smoking for about 30 minutes before testing for hemostasis. No? Your PT and PTT. So yan yung mga instruction natin. And even rest 5 minutes before the specimen collection for optimum results. For blood collection protocols, okay, follow standard protocol for patient identification, site cleansing, and even tourniquet use and venipuncture. Also anticipate excessive bleeding in high-risk patients, specifically if they have multiple bruises and even high BAT scores. So, extend venipuncture site. Okay, observation from 1 minute to 5 minutes for high risk patient. So if ever that the patient is already high risk, if you notice or know that there is high risk, no, yung pasyente umiinom ng warfarin, Coumadin, you check, no, you check before you release the patient. Okay, bago nyo paalisin na sabihin nyo observe muna for around 1 to 5 minutes before going out, okay, or before leaving the laboratory premises in order for you to check, baka mamaya dugo pa ng dugo. Okay? Need na pala ng medical assistance. Okay? And apply pressure on the bandage before dismissing high-risk patient. So again, instruct your patient to hold the cotton or even the bandage for about 1 to 5 minutes. So materials you need, of course, the needle selection, collection tubes, anticoagulant, and specimen handling. So for the needle selection, usually the standard gauge that we utilize is about 20 gauge or 21 gauge. No? Based on the DOH, it is 21 gauge, the standard one. Okay? Usually thin-walled, double point, and needles for standard evacuated tube collection. The best collection method for hemostatic test is your ETS or evacuated tube system. Why? Because in hemostatic test, we need an optimum volume and exact volume as to the blood and ratio anticoagulant because sometimes your anticoagulant can affect the hemostatic results. Okay? For fragile veins, we utilize 23 gauge Luer adapter or butterfly needle infusion tube to reduce and control negative pressure during your evacuated tube system. Okay? Avoid error. Sufficient needle bore prevents hemolysis and activation of platelets and procoagulant. Kaya nga usually, yung standard size yung ginagamit natin kasi mas malaki yung bore. Mas madali yung pagpasok ng blood. Okay? And safety features. Needle are equipped with safety device to prevent accidental needle prick and even injury. So yan, no? Tandaan natin, um, do not recap with two hands, recap with one hand, and always consider your safety. Okay? Hemostatic specimen collection tube. So the primary tube for hemostatic tests are usually your blue closure or blue top, sterile plastic evacuated tube containing sodium citrate. So previously, no, way back years ago, no, until I think until 2015, we still utilize, or 2018, we still utilize glass tubes. Okay, but again, no, if you remember on your factors, anong na-activate sa glass? Usually your factor or your contact factors. That's why, no, we utilize your plastic tube. And you could observe, no, some brands, no, merong glass pero may inner wall na plastic. Okay? Specifically BD na brand, no? Yung tube nila, plastic yung loob, pero yung outer part is glass. Okay? And it contains sodium citrate. Okay? Again, the ratio 1:9. Okay. Alternative tubes, no? You have siliconized glass tube. Okay, declining use due to breakage risk, and of course, the activation of your contact group due to the glass. Okay? Again, your glass is a natural procoagulant. Okay. Unsuitable tubes, usually the coated soda lime glass tubes are not suitable for hemostatic test. Okay. We could also use variation of your anticoagulant such as your sodium citrate. Okay, which is the standard concentration is buffered 0.105 to 0.109 molar or 3.2% sodium citrate. Okay, what is the action of your sodium citrate? Usually it binds to calcium ion to prevent coagulation and stabilizes the pH. Okay, when the tube and closure remains intact. Okay? Kaya nga no, we are opting to use ETS method on your hemostatic test. Okay? Blood to anticoagulant ratio is 9 parts of blood to 1 part anticoagulant. Okay? Or 0.3 ml of anticoagulant with 2.7 ml of blood. So yan. Okay. Okay, we need to adjust for elevated hematocrit. If ever that the patient has an elevated hematocrit, we need to adjust our result. Kaya if you would encounter, no, sometimes hemostatic test requires also CBC. Okay? And it is very often that, no, especially in large hospital or big hospitals, that they utilize or require CBC for PT and PTT. Okay? In order for them to evaluate the hematocrit level of the patient, because okay, elevated hematocrit that exceeds 55%, okay, will require adjustment as to your um, anticoagulant. Okay, the formula for sodium citrate volume is, okay, is equals to 1.85 times 10, okay, minus 3 times 100 minus the hematocrit times the volume. So for example, the hematocrit of 65 is 65 and 3 ml of total volume. Okay. So the answer is 0.19 ml ang dapat na anticoagulant na nakalagay dyan. Okay? So, prepared tubes to adjust anticoagulant volume to account for reduced plasma. So, usually we utilize pipetting techniques for this to adjust your sodium citrate. And again, it is not already a closed system kasi we will adjust your anticoagulant. And usually, the sodium citrate is in liquid form. Other hemostatic anticoagulants we can use EDTA, okay, for complete blood count and platelet count, okay, the platelet count, but not suitable for coagulation testing per se because it irreversibly chelates your calcium, and your calcium is very important in hemostasis. Okay? So kaya hindi siya pwede. But we can use them for platelet counting to assess number of platelet and even functionality. Next is heparin, neurocrine enclosure, not validated for coagulation testing, but again, may assist for platelet counts with satellitism. So if ever that you observe satellitism in your blood smear for platelets, you could utilize heparin as an anticoagulant to prevent this occurrence. Okay. Next, you can utilize ACD. This is a yellow enclosure, and your K2 EDTA, a white enclosure, usually for molecular diagnostics, specifically for factor V Leiden mutation or genetic testings. Okay. You could also use your CTAD or blue enclosure. Okay, prevents in vitro platelet coagulation activation for specialty assays such as your platelet factor 4, thrombin, antithrombin complex. So, on the specimen handling, this mixing instruction, so the blood and anticoagulant should be mixed gently by inverting the tube at least 3 times. Okay? Immediately after collection to prevent clot formation. You cannot shake the blood. Do not shake. Kahit nagmamadali na kayo, do not shake. You properly invert it. Okay? Complete inversion. Pag sinabi, hindi na figure of 8 ha. Complete inversion tayo. For example, this is your tube. Complete inversion. Okay. One inversion, top to bottom. Another inversion. Okay. Another inversion, bottom to top. Okay. One, bottom, top to bottom, bottom to top. That's counted as one. Then two, another inversion. Three. Okay, complete inversion ang tawag natin. Hindi na figure of 8. Ha? Okay, volume adjustment. Okay. Remove excess anticoagulant. Okay. For example, again, discard 0.11 ml from 3 ml tube to leave 0.19 ml, okay, of anticoagulant. So maintain precise blood to anticoagulant ratio for accuracy. Next, venipuncture. Okay, vascular access device and capillary puncture for specimen collection. Okay, standard procedure. Okay, adhere to the standard venipuncture protocol for evacuated tube system or syringe collection. But again, we prepare evacuated tube for your hemostatic test. Then specialized laboratory may employ trained collectors to ensure specimen integrity. Okay? So minsan mga trained lalo na pagka mga pediatric patients. Okay. Order of draw. Of course, the order of draw, hemostatic specimen must be collected first. Okay? Kaya nga, BC ni Hess. Or immediately after a non-additive chew. Kaya nga, anong code natin dito? B, C, ne, Hess. BC ni Hess. Okay, ano yan? Ano yung mga meaning ng BC ni Hess na yan? Okay, blood culture. Okay, blood culture. Citrate. Okay. Non-additive. Heparin. EDTA. Serum separator. Sodium fluoride and other serum separator tubes. Okay. BC ni Hess. Double S yan. Okay, BC ni Hess. Okay. So yan. Avoid collecting your citrate after any anticoagulant because it will interfere. Kaya nga nauuna siya eh. Okay? If non-additive tubes are unavailable, use this and discard a preliminary blue enclosure after an additive. For example, wala kayong nauna na to mga to, nauna yung mga anticoagulant nyo. Pwede kayong mag-insert ng unang isang citrate muna, then discard yung citrate na yon and then another citrate in order for you to have it. Okay. Volume accuracy. Evacuated tube rely on negative pressure on in the correct volume and the specimen must be within 90% of the calibrated volume to avoid short draw. Error leading to falsely prolonged coagulation result due to excessive anticoagulation. So, meaning, um, you kaya nga evacuated tube system yung ginagamit natin kasi mas accurate yung volume niya. Okay? And discard short draw specimen and recollect. Bawal yung short draw. Kaya nga no, I encounter laboratories na sobrang higpit when it comes to coagulation test that you need to have an eksakto doon sa mismong line. Hindi pwedeng lumagpas ng konti, hindi pwedeng magkulang ng konti. Eksakto dapat. Okay? Specialized collection consideration, butterfly set, if it will compensate for the tubing volume approximately 0.5 ml air by discarding a non-additive or blue enclosure tube before collecting the specimen. So if ever that you will utilize butterfly na ETS type, okay, you need to use non-additive muna before inserting a citrate or dalawang citrate kukunin mo para ma-eliminate yung air na magta-travel pa muna dun sa tube. Kasi nga, anong sabi natin? Your hemostatic tests are very volume sensitive. Okay. Syringe collection. Transfer the specimen into evacuated tube system using a large bore safe transfer device. Pero dito sa Pilipinas, of course, we don't have this. Anong ginagamit natin? Okay? Direkta from syringe to open tube. Pero it is not advisable for hemostatic test. Okay? Hemostatic test. Okay. Also prevent clot formation. Gently invert the tube at least 3 times immediately after collection and okay, avoid excessive agitation. Ayan, yung cocktail shaking. Ano yun? Yung mabilisang pag-alog na lang. Okay? It can cause hemolysis and procoagulants and platelet activation. Kaya nga, madahan-dahan lang tayo when it comes to hemostatic test. Discard clotted specimen. They are unusable for hemostatic testing. So pag may clot, kahit microclot yan, hindi pwedeng gamitin. Okay? Atraumatic collection. Okay, minimize needle manipulation to prevent contamination by connective tissue procoagulants. Kaya nga, no, pagka usually, pag hemostatic test, kailangan sure ball ka. Hindi ka pwede mag-fish. Kasi your tissue procoagulants can cause microclots and activation of your coagulation system. Traumatic venipuncture may produce unreliable test result with falsely shortened clotting times due to activation of your coagulants. Okay? Next, tourniquet use. Okay, remove the tourniquet within 1 minute. Again, 1 minute to prevent stasis of your blood in the area. And due to that, the stasis can activate endothelial cell releasing. Okay, ano yung mga nire-release ng endothelial cell? Your von Willebrand factor, your collagen, okay, and other coagulation factor, your regulatory factor, proteins such as your TPA, UPA, yan. So yan yung pine-prevent natin. Cause hemoconcentration of coagulation factors such as your factor 5, 7, 8, 12, and even von Willebrand factor. It results in falsely shortened coagulation test result. Bakit? Kasi nako-consume during coagulation or stasis ng blood during prolonged tourniquet application. So this is a table summarizing all of those. So also we cannot use specimen that are clotted, okay, with visible hemolysis, lipemia, or ecteric specimen, okay, due to um, possible optical challenges as to machine testing. Next, okay? For the general guidelines for vascular access device, ito yung mga tinatawag natin mga central line, okay, mga heparin lock, yan yung mga vascular access device. Okay? So sa CLSI, standard GP41, discourage collecting specimen from vascular access device unless necessary. Bakit kaya? Kasi nga, okay, it may include heparin or saline locks that prevents the clotting in the tubing. Okay, meron kasi yung content na anticoagulant kaya hindi pwede tayong kumuha doon. Okay? And strict adherence to protocol is essential to ensure sterility, avoid emboli, and prevent device damage. So yun, kaya nga we cannot use those blood kasi nga merong anticoagulant doon tubing that could affect our test. So ano pwedeng gawin if ever that you really need to do a vascular access device. So flush the line using 5 ml of saline to flush the line. Paano 'yon? Mag-administer kayo 5 ml of NSS. Then after that, you extract blood or get blood. You discard the initial volume by the first 5 ml. Bakit? Kasi contaminated pa yan ng saline. Okay? No heparin flush to avoid heparin contamination, and transfer specimen. Collect blood into syringe and transfer it into evacuated tube using safe transfer device. Challenge and risk as to vascular access device. So hemolysis possible, specifically in your IV cannulas, can cause hemolysis, making specimen unreliable. Bakit? Sa IV. Kasi usually your IV are maninipis lang yung bore ng needle nila. Kaya hindi okay kuhaan ng dugo ang mga IV. No? Hindi pwede yung pakatch na lang po. Yan, hindi pwede yan. Okay? Recollection requirement. Okay, if hemolysis is visible, the specimen must be recollected. Okay? Recollected. And as for the board exam, recent board exam, they mentioned that there are a lot of cases na ganito na what will you do if your specimen is hemolyzed for ganitong test. Okay? Yan, madami daw ganyan ngayon. Limited collection personnel. So instructional protocol may limit collection to physicians or nurses kasi nga medyo mahal maglagay ng access device. Kaya we are not allowed to, usually we are not allowed to collect from the vascular access device unless it is with the permission of the nurse or the physician itself. Next, capillary puncture. So application usually designed for point of care coagulometers to generate PTINR from 10 to 50 micrometer of whole blood. No, this is common in other hospital that are very advanced na they utilize POCT for PTA-PTT. Okay? Applicable for anticoagulant clinics, patient self-testing, and even pediatric or neonatal testing. So during capillary puncture, we ensure that there is a free-flowing blood. Okay, so how do we ensure that? So you warm the patient's hands to improve blood flow using disposable warming device. Avoid squeezing or milking the finger. Okay, bakit? Kasi tissue fluid concentration could affect the test accuracy and activating your tissue factor. Kaya you provide from milking, yung pinipisa, yan, bawal. Okay, training responsibility. So, laboratory practitioner are tasked with training nurses, pharmacists, and patients to proper capillary puncture techniques. And as to the storage and specimen transport, the general guidelines for the storage, Sodium citrate, anticoagulated whole blood must be stored vertically with the tube enclosure intact to prevent CO2 diffusion and pH alteration which can falsely prolong PT-PTT. Okay? For the temperature naman, it could be in room temp. Okay? Do not refrigerate or freeze the whole blood specimen directly because it would cause deterioration of your factor 5 and factor 8. So avoid storage temperature below 1 degree Celsius because it precipitate large von Willebrand factor multimers leading to shortened bleeding time. Okay? Or above 25 degrees Celsius. Bakit? Kasi nga yung labile factor natin will be degraded. Okay? So time frame for testing for PT, you could use within 24 hours after collection, centrifuge or uncentrifuge specimen. If PTT, you need to be it need to be tested for within 4 hours of collection. If the patient is on unfractionated heparin therapy, it must be centrifuged within 1 hour to prevent heparin depletion. Okay. So for centrifugation and plasma preparation, centrifuge must operate at around 15 to 25 degrees Celsius because lower than that and higher than that can cause degradation of your factors. Okay. If plasma testing cannot be completed within prescribed intervals, okay, of course, for PT, 24 and for PTT, 4 hours, centrifuge within 1 hour of collection, then you transfer the plasma to a plastic pressure tube. Avoid glass. Okay, bakit avoid glass? Again, your contact factors might be activated. Okay, label and seal and freeze the sample. So for plasma storage, we could utilize negative 20 degrees for about 2 weeks and 70 degrees for long-term storage. And after that, you could thaw your specimen rapidly by at 37 degrees Celsius and test within 1 hour after thawing. And then, okay, if immediate testing is not possible, store at 1 to 6 degrees up to 2 hours. No refreezing. Okay? Refreezing and thawing restriction, avoid multiple freezer thaw cycle. So, hindi nyo na pwede ulit i-freeze to prevent cryoprecipitation of your von Willebrand factor. So, hindi pwedeng tino mo na, ipi-freeze mo ulit kasi hindi matitest, itoto mo ulit. Hindi pwede yon. Okay? So, this is the table showing how you will store your specimens. So preparation of specimen as to the whole blood specimen for platelet aggregometry. A. Platelet-rich plasma for light transmittance platelet aggregometry and platelet-poor plasma for clot-based testing. So for the whole blood specimen for platelet aggregometry, the blood collection should be whole blood. Okay, could be utilized for platelet aggregometry, LUMI aggregometry, your TEG, and your ROTEM. Okay, blood is collected at with 3.2% sodium citrate. And you could store them at around 15 to 25 degrees Celsius until testing is possible. And avoid chilling as it destroys your platelet activity. Okay. Testing timeframes, aggregometry should begin immediately and be completed within 4 hours of specimen collection to maintain ex vivo platelet activity. For specimen handling, same precautions, mix gently with proper inversion and check for clots before testing and reject if there is presence of clot. For specimen dilution, okay, typically specimens are mixed 1:1 with normal saline before testing if the patient platelet count is less than 100,000. Next, platelet-rich plasma for light transmittance platelet aggregometry. So PRP collection is obtained from sodium citrate anticoagulated blood with platelet count of around 200 to 300 Ku per UL. So blood is checked visually for clots before centrifugation and new centrifuge at 50 grams for 30 minutes with the closure in place to maintain the pH. Again, very sensitive tayo sa pH because we do have labile factors. Okay? Transfer the supernatant to of supernatant PRP to a clean plastic tube. Again, avoid glass for your contact factors and seal the tube and store it for 15 to 25 degrees until testing. So the requirements for this test is allow the specimen to stand until undisturbed for about 30 minutes after centrifugation for platelet responsiveness and must be tested within 4 hours to prevent spontaneous in vitro platelet activation and loss of normal activity. So usually we utilize your platelet-rich plasma, okay, for this one. Okay. Volume at least 9 to 12 ml of whole blood is required for sufficient PRP. And test limitation, if less than 100, unreliable. Okay, if ever na less than 100, unreliable yung test. Next, platelet pure plasma for clot-based testing. For your PPP, okay, this is prepared for whole blood with platelet count of less than 10,000 per UL. And centrifugation, you centrifuge for around 1,500 grams for 15 minutes in a horizontal head centrifuge to produce PPP. So alternative is use a HemoQ stat pin centrifuge with 4,400 grams for 3 minutes. And what is the difference between horizontal and angle held? For horizontal centrifuge, produces straight plasma cell with interface and enabling automated coagulometer sampling for plasma. But on your angled centrifuge, cause platelet to adhere to the side to the tube wall, which can lead to in vitro platelet activation and release of granule contents if left standing. You could also utilize double spin approach. Okay, where in the centrifuge of the primary tube, transfer the plasma to a secondary tube, and again, centrifuge it. And you produce PPP with platelet count less than 5,000 per UL, preferred for lupus anticoagulant testing or for freezing. For platelet pure plasma, what are the effects of platelet count on blood-based testing? So platelet count of more than 10,000 can activate platelet in vitro, releasing microparticles and phosphatidylserine, which trigger plasma coagulation and interfere with tests such as your LAC or lupus anticoagulant. Okay? Platelet release fibrinogen, factor 5, factor 8, and von Willebrand, which can desensitize your PT-PTT assay. And platelet factor 4 binds with neutralized therapeutic heparin, potentially shortening PTT and interfering with heparin management. Okay, kaya dapat itanong din sa pasyente kung kailan siya nag-heparin. And kailan siya magpapacheck. Okay? Next, laboratory quality control. Okay, regular PPP should be checked and performed for about 10 specimen to 12 every 6 months to ensure consistency of your PPP. And inspection, hemolysis, visible hemolysis indicates platelet or coagulation activation. Such specimen are usually rejected. Okay, again, you check the hemolysis. If ever there is a presence of hemolysis, we reject our specimen. Okay, for lipemia and ecteric specimen, again, optical coagulation result. Okay, some optical instrument can compensate for lipemia and ecteric specimen using spectrophotometric analysis But if needed, a mechanical coagulometer can be used for cloudy specimen for your chylus.